State of Affairs is pleased to welcome Peter Chen, Policy Counsel for an organization called Advocates for Children of New Jersey, advocating for the children of New Jersey every day. This is part of our ongoing conversation, part of our series called Right from the Start NJ, 0 to 3, prenatal care as well. Peter, we work with your organization on a lot of issues, try to understand the impact, particularly for poor children or children in inner city disadvantaged areas. Right. You've said that the 2010 census that the federal government runs has undercounted, misrepresented the number of children in inner city areas, Newark, Jersey City, other places, and it's devastating. Talk about it.
So the census determines funding for a wide range of
federal funding.
That's right. But many state programs also are based on census counts. So the federal count of the total number of residents in different areas determines funding for things like schools, Head Start, child care, health care, Medicaid. So huge programs, and basically every federal program that you can think of that benefits low-income children and families depends on census counts in order to determine the funding. And when children are not counted, as happened in 2010, the amount of funding is lower than it needs to be for the total population that there is.
Peter Chen, why weren't these children counted?
Well, many children live in what are called hard-to-count areas, areas where it might be harder to count people because it's a low-income area, people may not speak English, or simply because there are multiple residences in one location. So if it's a rental property, if it's an apartment building, or if there are multiple rental units all in the same house. Those may be areas where the mailer that goes out might not be counted. But one of the big factors for why children are undercounted, and particularly very young children, is because the family or the householder omits them from the form. Okay, they just leave them off the form. And it's not because necessarily they don't know that the child lives there, but that children may not be included they may not be considered like a person that needs to be counted on the census.
But that's a misconception of how the census works. And why is it disproportionately in urban areas like Jersey City and Newark?
Well, so there are a few factors that have been shown to be linked with leaving kids off the census. Those are living in a racial or ethnic minority household, living in a household where no adult speaks English very well, living in a household that has a grandparent householder, or living in a household where there are unrelated people living in the home. So you might have two families that are unrelated that live together in one address. And in that case, what might happen is one family might fill it out, and the other family might not be included when that person fills it out and might not know that they were supposed to be included.
But Peter, this also, by the way, speaking of Peter Chen from Advocates for Children of New Jersey, you're going to see our website from Right from the Start NJ. Check it out, all kinds of important information. It's been 2 years we've been doing this initiative, and when we started it, frankly, Peter and everyone listening and watching right now, we had no idea how many challenges that infants and toddlers have and those who care for them have. In this regard, I'm curious about something. What does this have to do with political representation, the undercount of the census in 2010?
So there are two pieces in the upcoming 2020 census that are going to be really important for New Jersey for political representation. The first is that the total number of residents in the state determines how many congressional representatives New Jersey has.
We have lost seats.
We have lost seats. In 1990 and in 2010, we lost a congressional seat. And so that means less voice in D.C. It also means less voice in the Electoral College for presidential elections.
We have 13?
We have 12 now.
12. We had 14.
Yes.
And each time you lose a certain amount of people compared to the rest of the nation, the static number in the House of Representatives must remain at 435 members. So if Texas, if California, if New Mexico, if those other states gain more in the census, they get more political representation. New Jersey loses congressional representation. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, and the only thing I would clarify...
Because the number 435 doesn't change.
Right. The only thing I would clarify is that New Jersey doesn't even have to lose population. It's only that New Jersey has to grow slower than the other states.
So the population of the nation is growing. If we have less of a percentage of the people in our state compared to the rest of the nation, we lose.
Right. That's right.
And what does that have to do with kids?
So obviously, children depend on their elected representation. Kids depend on their elected representatives.
Those who are supposed to care about them.
That's right.
In political office.
That's right. And so we see in when congressional representatives are going up to bat for kids for Medicaid funding, for CHIP funding, for school funding.
CHIP is?
The Children's Health Insurance Program.
Right.
We need more of them in order to go to bat for kids' programs. And the other piece that's going to be really important is redistricting. We hear a lot about gerrymandering or the borders of political districts, and that's all based on census counts.
Wow.
And so if particularly low-income areas have undercounted populations, that means they get less representation in New Jersey's State House as well, not just at the federal
Before I
level.
let you go, Peter, got a minute left. The issue of planning. What does the undercount in the census of children have to do with planning? Planning what?
So if a hospital is thinking about where they're going to build a new branch, or a school district is trying to determine if they're going to expand to a new location, or if the planning board is trying to figure out what road is going to be put down to a new subdivision, census counts all go into the calculations of where that's going. So whether it's a business, whether it's government, those plans all depend on the number of people that are there.
So real quick, before I let you go, the advice for everyone watching right now in terms of being a part of this 2020 census in a meaningful way.
So the biggest thing is to just get educated about the census. The state of New Jersey has a census website. ACNJ is putting together a census website, and the Census
Advocates
Bureau.
for Children of New Jersey, your site has been up. So if they go to your site, what do they find out about the census?
So there's a whole list of different resources that are available, both sort of like a Census 101, as well as PowerPoint presentations, PDFs, all kinds of information for people to use on why the census is so important for kids.
Peter Chen, Policy Counsel Advocates for Children of New Jersey. This is part of our Right from the Start NJ initiative. Peter, I want to thank you for joining us. Well done.
Great. Thanks,
Stay right
Steve.
there. This is Steve Adubato. This is State of Affairs. This is the Agnes Varis NJTV studio in Newark. We'll be right back after this.
State of Affairs with Steve Adubato is a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 30 years of broadcast excellence. Funding for this edition of State of Affairs with Steve Adubato has been provided by the Turl Fund, supporting Right from the Start NJ. Holy Name Medical Center. This place is different. NJM Insurance Group. Wells Fargo. New Jersey Resources. The New Jersey Education Association. And by Summit Medical Group.